Good evening. Welcome to we got the echo going again. Our town board meeting for this evening. Please rise for the pledge to flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Good evening. Okay, the first on the agenda is the approval of the minutes. So motion approving the minutes of March 13th, 2024, minutes of the regular meeting of the town board.
So moved.
Seconded,
Seconded.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So it's unanimous. Okay, bid openings. Single tandem truck bids were opened on 3/27/24 at 1:30 PM in the town clerk's office with Craig Heller, highway superintendent, and Deborah Wallace, town clerk present. Bird truck, $160,968.51 for a tandem truck, and bird truck, $150,815.58 for a single truck. The bid was awarded to the single bidder. So number 2 is the water system improvements bid was opened on 3/27/24 at 2 PM in the town boardroom with Scott Grotz, water and wastewater superintendent, and Deborah Wallace, town clerk present. Factory construction, base, $767,110. Alternate 1, $663,890. Alternate 2, $742,890. Alternate 3, $461,890. MR Dirt Incorporated, base, $1,022,170. Alternate 1, $1,170,240. Alternate 2, $1,445,240. And alternate 3, $864,500. FP Kane Construct, base, construction, I assume, base, $1,233,000. Alternate 1, $711,000. Alternate 2, $800,000. Alternate 3, $605,150. Okay, public hearings. We have a public hearing tonight. So the special public hearing for the special permit application to operate a commercial recreation venue in an industrial district, 2220 Vester Road, BCTM number 158-09-1-16. Yes, please. Thank you. Do you want to just do right in front or to the side maybe so that everybody can see? Okay. Thank you.
I see it if you want.
Mhm.
I see it if you want. You can sit right here if you want. No.
You just need the microphone, so you can choose to be wherever you are.
Oh, here's Eric.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Don't want to like be on.
There you are.
Thanks a lot. Sorry to have my back to you all. but-
Oh.
Do you want to work?
No, that's okay.
Okay.
Over here.
It's
Yeah.
fine. No, it's fine.
You can come behind if you want. It's fine with me
Okay.
because you'll be on camera better as well.
Everyone is cool. Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Sarah Campbell. I'm an attorney with Hinman, Howard and Cattell representing the applicant. This is engineering and he's the project engineer. As you've indicated, this is an app. Wow, that is really annoying to have it be echoing, isn't it? This is an application for special permit to locate an indoor climbing facility at 2220 Vestal Road called The Pad in Binghamton. This is a The community for all ages and abilities includes bouldering, rope climbing, goal setting, gross motor development, occupational therapy. This is a facility that is really community focused, not recreational focused. And they have a very strong commitment to inclusion. The structure is currently owned by Nielsen Hardware. It was just primarily warehouse use on one side of the building. The climbing pad would be on the other side. The application has been reviewed by the county planning board. They found no compelling community interest. For ease in review, we incorporated all of Nielsen's approved site plan conditions onto the iPad application and drawings so that it's all in one place and you don't have to compare them. Let's flip this around so the audience can see it. The board also has the same document in front of them. So parking is a conversation that we had at our last meeting. So parking for the Nielsen warehouse and office use calculates to 57 required parking space under the town zoning regulations. The pad facility calculates to 72 spaces for an indoor recreational use under the zoning regulations. We are able to achieve the total of 129 parking spaces on the site. So we do comply. However, these numbers far exceed any real world application for these two users. They will never require this many parking spaces. Nielsen indicates that at the most ever, they would need 25 spaces, and that would even include occasional salespeople that would come in, you know, and out. And the pad reports, this is the fourth location for the pad, so they have substantial experience in operating these facilities. 40 to 50 spaces at most, and that would be a very rare occasion when they would require that many spaces. So the total actual requirement, notwithstanding the zoning regulations, would be 75 spaces. Nielsen, just so you all know, operates Monday to Friday, 8 to 5. The pad hours, the normal hours, are in the day, but their busy hours are after 5 and weekends. So as you can see, the two businesses will not be operating at peak capacity at the same time. The pad does request permission for 24/7 operation for their experienced member climbers. But the general public is only admitted until 10 o'clock at night. The pad has 35 to 45 employees, only 2 to 4 at any given time. So this is our proposal. In order to reduce the asphalt and keep as much green space as possible, we are requesting that we reserve 28 spaces on the western side of the property. And can you just show everyone where that is? And I'll just point here, over here on the west side of the property. And an additional 8 spaces on the northwestern side of the property as green space, not to pave them. They are not paved now. We don't want to pave them unnecessarily and get rid of the existing buffer space.
You're talking about up here?
Yeah.
These 8 up here?
Yep,
Okay.
and those on the side
Okay.
there.
And that was the concern.
Yeah, so I mean, there's no reason to do it for, now we have them, so you retain your special permit powers. If there's a parking problem, you can require us to improve them and moving forward. But to eat up green space just for the sake of meeting a parking requirement that doesn't really affect this business or these businesses doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. I think the large number required for indoor recreation sort of contemplated like soccer field or sports teams that are showing up in mass as opposed to individual climbers or a family maybe coming. It's just a whole different dynamic in terms of parking. The entire parking lot will be milled and overlaid. The northern driveway per the Nielsen plan will have a chain link fence with vision slats on it because there's a sort of a dilapidated stockade fence there now. The application has been to the planning board, the town planning board twice. The planning board recommended, I do not have the March minutes, but the February conversation, the planning board recommended that if the parking on the west is to be ever used, that there be a 6-foot chain link fence with privacy slats installed and additional planting, we certainly would agree to that, should that ever be the case. No new lighting is proposed. There was one man door that was bothering a neighbor, that was communicated to us and to the owner. That light has been removed and replaced, and the neighbor communicated to me that he was satisfied with that resolution. So that was a great example of just making a call and getting it worked out, and then that's what we did. So this is a really great partnership between the two businesses. It's an adaptive reuse of an existing building that was previously vacant, non-competing hours, and an opportunity to reduce the introduction of additional asphalt and remain green. I did just want to point out a few things, and I'll give this to Dan because I think you're probably the person that would like this. Vern asked that we amend two questions on the EAF based on a county response. One was just my error in terms of the comprehensive plan. And the second was, there was a question about remediation in adjacent parcels, but the county has no record of that. So even though it popped up on the mapper, which self-populates this, we changed that answer. And then, so that's the short EAF. And I think that's it. We're happy to answer your questions or any questions at your direction. So we will wait for you to.
Appreciate
do
it.
that.
Anybody asking?
I just had one question. So you're proposing to operate 24/7, right? Will it be supervision 24/7?
There will not, the members, so it's a membership organization and also, right, non-members, but members who are qualified, have been qualified by the organization would be permitted to come in past supervised hours to climb.
So only members with
Only
expertise.
members. And their experience is that's fairly rare, but they do like to provide that opportunity for people who may not, who might work odd hours or, first responders, people that just can't get in before 10 o'clock at night.
Okay.
It's very rare, though, that they indicate that there's really anyone there.
But the building would be, there would be a
Hard
building
access.
supervisor there at all times.
No, there would not be a human being there. There would be card access, camera, supervision, but there would not be an employee present.
Hard access.
Yeah.
Okay. I was making sure it was secure.
Yes.
So if that person in there has a problem, gets hurt, what happens? They just use their cell phone or?
I assume so. I actually, one of the members of the family is here in the, Tim, what happened?
I mean, legal matter wise, I wouldn't personally know, but I do know that, of all the gyms, they've never had an instance, but I believe they do have waivers and kind of.
Yeah. I think your question is, how does someone,
My question is the safety of the person. right?
yeah,
Emergency service.
yeah, I think they would have to contact 911. Again,
It's on them, basically.
it's on them, but the facility is designed to be extremely safe. It's all
Mhm.
padded and, could I get hurt? Yes, I'm not an expert climber. Could an expert climber get hurt? It could happen, but it doesn't appear to be a normal
Right,
course.
right. That would be a
It
one-off
would be
kind
a
of thing.
one-off.
The other question I would have was I know there was a resident who mentioned the entrance exits, that the east exit that's angled to Vesta Road is the best for using as an exit.
Yep. Truck
Um,
traffic is only allowed to exit that way.
Right. So has anyone brought up the idea of having the west entrance be the entrance and the east be the exit?
This was so the traffic pattern was the approved Nielsen plan. So we just kind of went with that was already approved. But no, car access in and out really isn't an issue.
Right,
Truck
right.
traffic is, and I think also there are two signs, no commercial traffic on that western driveway.
Okay, so it'll be
There'll be
signage.
Signage,
for that.
and it also says no trucks, doesn't it?
Thank you.
They're hard to read, sorry, I haven't blow these up for you, but the signs are there.
And I think in our last conversation, you said that there was an agreement with the entrance and the exit and the signage. Is it all the signage currently in place or is it still to be put up?
I think it's still to be put up. I think we're kind of waiting to see what was gonna happen,
Mhm.
especially with all these spaces, like what exactly was gonna be necessary. But before a C of O is issued for the pad side, that would be a condition, I'm sure.
Okay, thank you.
I've met Vern before.
Just one quick question. So if there were, again, just on the air of caution for public safety, if there was the requirement or request, I should say, that it was not after hours access, would that be an issue?
It is for the client, yeah, they
Okay.
really like to provide that opportunity. I mean, again, if it became an issue, you retain jurisdiction over the site plan. But I guess I'd ask for the opportunity to at least show that it is not an issue.
I mean, I personally don't think, because I mean, obviously there's gyms that are open 24/7 that have unmanned access and have key cards. Actually, MC Fit right here in Vestal has the same thing. So, I mean, I think that it's, if it's one person, I like to treat everybody fairly and evenly, but I was just wondering if that were the case.
Yeah, I would agree with Councilman Donnelly, that late at night, just a one-off once in a while wouldn't be a problem. As a resident, I would say, the first time somebody's at 2 a.m. comes in, they've got their stereo blaring, wakes me up, I'm gonna have a problem with that. So,
My impression of this facility is it's a very family-friendly oriented place. It is not maybe even what you might expect of a sort of a traditional gym. It's people of all ages, infants to elderly, and that's just the energy that's in the facility.
and I would expect someone that has the card to get in already has the wherewithal, hey, it's
Right.
AM warning, shh, keep it quiet. Thank you.
And the facility is located quite a distance from the road, so it isn't right up on the road where it might otherwise be more annoying.
Okay, do any other board members have anything to ask them before we ask for anything from the public?
Just one final one. There are devices where you could, if there's a major incident, you could have like Life Alert is a fun one, but maybe something more for regular people that maybe that could
Yeah. it's a good idea.
inform EMS for the off
I haven't
hours.
panicked, but
That would be a good idea to not have a surprise morning.
Good suggestion.
And I
Okay.
just had,
Mhm.
so what I'm hearing you say is that you would seek to have the parking at 75 spaces.
Correct.
And that way the green space could be maintained,
Correct.
but there would still be the slatted fence.
The fence would be on the northern side on the northwest, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Okay, anything from the board? Okay, so anybody from the public have any questions or comments? We do ask, once again, to keep it short with the comments if it's a comment. But they are available to answer any questions if you have any concerns. Would anybody like to speak? Okay, very good. Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate you taking the time.
So just as a
Mhm.
matter of, or
Mhm.
as a matter of procedure, are we closing the public hearing?
Unless you have something else to say,
Nope.
any
I
board
just-
member have any comments or?
So
Mhm.
the whole public hearing is closed.
Closing the public hearing at this
Mhm.
time.
Okay, and did you, are we gonna go through the part 2 of the EAF? That would be the normal process.
Yeah, let's do the part 2 of the EAF, but I don't see, it's not on our, is this on our agenda to vote on the special permit? tonight? I didn't see
The
it.
very first thing.
Mhm.
Pardon?
Dan, go to number 4.
What?
It'll be voted on. I mean, it does, we don't usually put it on.
We don't have
Yeah.
it on the agenda, but.
So it's going to be voted on at a different time.
Is that your,
Yeah.
is that your assumption? That's
So
gonna be
my
voted on?
assumption is it is voted on at the night of the public hearing,
Okay,
unless there's some information that you don't have that would not put you in a position to vote.
Right.
That's the normal
yeah.
process.
Mhm. So
So let's
Put it
go
up for-
through the, let's go through the EAF.
Unless you need time to.
Dan?
No, I've got it. Well,
Copy of the proof of posting and the affidavit. of the trust, just so we know ahead of time.
thank
Here,
you. No, I've got
Sorry.
it.
You need a microphone.
Nice try.
Thanks, Sarah. So the part one, there were the two changes, which, I mean, you could accept those changes as submitted today. Maybe make a motion and second and accept the two changes that were made to part one by the applicant.
You need a motion. I'll make that motion.
Okay, and seconded?
Second,
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Okay, so
All
we're,
right, so we have to do the, it's our responsibility. After the public hearing, after having heard the presentation of the applicant and having heard from the board members and the public, we're going to go through 11 questions and make sure that the board is satisfied with the environmental impacts. You're either going to vote that there is a no or a small impact that is occasioned by this development, or a moderate to large impact. This has been this is assuming that there is a small impact or no impact. Okay, so here are the questions. I'm going to go through them, and then I'll ask for a motion, a second, and then a call for a vote. Part three is going to summarize and essentially say that this board has determined, based upon the information and the analysis that we're going to do and any supporting documentation that we have received, that the proposed action will not result in any significant adverse environmental impacts. Okay. Before we get there, let's go through these questions. And if there are any questions on them from the board members, you should ask the questions. The first question is, will the proposed action create a material conflict with an adopted land use plan or zoning regulations? We don't have a comprehensive plan. That proposed action is permitted by a special permit. The answer that is being proposed is no then. Okay. Number two is, will the proposed action result in a change in the use or intensity of the use of the land? Number three is, will the proposed action impair the character or quality of the existing community? 4, will the proposed action have an impact on the environmental characteristics that cause the establishment of a critical environmental area? 5, will the proposed action result in an adverse change in the existing level or traffic, or affect existing infrastructure, mass transit, biking, or walkway? 6, will the proposed action cause an increase in the use of energy and it fails to incorporate reasonably available energy conservation or renewable energy opportunities? 7, will the proposed action impact existing public or private water supplies, public or private wastewater treatment facilities, utilities? Number 8, will the proposed action impair the character or quality of an important historical, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources? Number 9, will the proposed action result in an adverse change to natural resources, for example, wetlands, water bodies, groundwater, air quality, flora, and fauna? Number 10, will the proposed action result in an increase in the potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage problems? Number 11, will the proposed action create a hazard to environmental resources or human health? Those are the 11 questions in part 2 that have been that I'm assuming are going to be checked No, someone should make a motion with a second, call for a vote. That
Mhm.
those should be indicated with the answer no or small impact. Or if you have questions, now's the time to deliberate on it.
I'll make that motion. That would be little or no impact.
Second,
I'll second.
and all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Okay. So moving on from part two, we're going to consider part three. Now, for every question in part two that was answered, moderate to large impact, which we did not, there are none of those. Or if there's a need to explain, well, a particular element of the proposed action may or may not result in a significant adverse environmental impact, please complete part three. Part three should in sufficient detail identify the impact, including the measures or design elements that have been included by the project sponsor to avoid or reduce impacts. Part three should also explain how the lead agency determined that the impact may or will not be significant. Each potential impact should be assessed considering its setting, probability of occurring, duration, irreversibility, geographic slope, and magnitude. Also consider the potential for short-term, long-term, and cumulative impacts. So again, this requires an answer and a signature from the supervisor. There are two boxes. The box that I'm assuming you're going to make a motion for is check this box if you have determined, based upon the information and analysis above and any supporting documentation, that the proposed action will not result in any significant adverse environmental impacts. So someone should make a motion to check that box. Second.
So I'll make the motion to check that box.
And second,
I'll second it.
and all in favor?
Aye.
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 So I'm going to present that to you for your signature. Supervisor.
We'll fill in the rest later.
So we've complied with those requirements
Mhm.
and it sounds like you're proposing to hold a vote on this special
Okay.
permit application and whether or not the board is going to allow it as is or with conditions, and I'll leave it up to you.
Okay, so what would you like to do? Would you like to discuss conditions or would you like to vote on it as is?
I'm ready to vote.
Ready to vote.
Good vote.
Good vote.
Okay, so need a motion? So the motion, so the resolution would be to approve the special permit to operate a commercial recreational venue at 2220 Vesta Road, VCTM number 158-09-1-16.
So moved.
And
Seconded? And all in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you very much.
There you go.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Do you like these?
Good
And thank you
presentation.
for the concessions. We appreciate it and the accommodations for our residents. Much appreciated. Okay, very good. Thank you for coming.
you.
So we're going to move on to supervisors updates. So that's me. Where is my? Okay, sorry. Okay, so I'm just going to make a few announcements and touch on a few things that that have been going on and a few clarifications as well. So number one, I want to thank everybody who applied to be a member of the Comprehensive Plan Committee. We received 24 applications, amazingly qualified and enthusiastic people, and I want to thank every single one of them. We met on Monday in executive session only because it's people's addresses and, names and information. We didn't want to discuss that publicly. It wasn't appropriate. But in our conversations, we all agreed that the applicants were so qualified, so enthusiastic, and so dedicated to help us to improve and make Vestal a better place, but in a very planned way to make sure that we protect our residents, but still encourage businesses and allow solar, but do everything in a safe and productive way to make our residents happy and to hopefully increase our revenue as well. But so in doing so, though, we had 24 applicants. And so a committee, if it were that large, tends not to be very productive. With everybody's enthusiasm and input, which is really great and amazing, it doesn't get things done as easily. So we had to limit the number to 12. It was suggested by 2 of the applicants and other committee members of other committees as well. So what we did was, number one, we accepted everybody's application, and we thank you once again. But we had to select 12 as primary committee members, and we also are hoping that the other 12 will be alternates, because the committee may change over time. This is a commitment for a year and a half. It's going to take a long time, and people's availability may change, their personal life may change. And for differing reasons, we want to make sure that that we can keep this committee being as productive and great going forward. So we want to make sure that they are viable and have the best choices that they have. So we are going to be putting emails out today. I just want to run the email by every committee member, board member, to make sure that they're in agreement of everything that I'm saying. So by tomorrow, everybody's going to get an email. We have 12 primary, 12 alternate. But those people that have been selected as being alternates, it doesn't make us any less appreciative of the time that you're willing to put in your dedication to Vestal. And we do encourage you to go to those meetings. While you can't participate during the whole meeting, you can still see what's going on. And certainly afterwards, I'm sure some committee members would talk to you about your ideas as well. So I do encourage you to do that. But we still need number down to 12. So those people will be receiving the emails, but I just did want to thank everybody. And just remember that comprehensive plan committee is about planning everything going forward to do everything that we want to do, but to do it in a way that benefits all of our residents. So I'll leave that for that. And once again, our thank you. And just, I want to touch on another topic because we're still getting questions. The SRO program. Sue and I just had a great meeting with the school superintendent, with Stace Kittner, our police chief, and we are going to be signing the contract for the four full duty SRO officers. They are absolutely a certainty and a guarantee for the fall and going forward. In addition, we are working with the school system to the superintendent and the entire town board to try to expand that program. Any expansion will be full duty Vestal police officers. So they're working on their budget right now. The SRO full duty officers are a priority for them, and it will be included in our budget and a priority for us as well. So I don't want there to be any uncertainty or miscommunication, but we are going to get this done. Okay. And we want to thank the SRO officers, but we also want to thank all of the residents who made it clear to us how they felt and how important this was to them, that it be done, but it be done correctly. So thank you for your input as well. Another thing we want to touch on is, and it's not on the agenda tonight, is the solar moratorium. We have had our first solar projects coming through, and the first one has gone to a planning committee, and the planning committee has not recommended for it. And that project is still in the works though. And that being said, town board members have talked, we've talked in the work session, one-on-one, we've talked to each other separately. And we feel as a group, as a board, that we are not quite ready to be considering these projects. Not that we won't have solar, but when we do, we need to do it in a way that is planned and in a way that we know everything that we're looking at when we consider these projects as a board, so that we make sure that everything that we consider and improve is good for our community and good, and is something that our residents are okay with, can live with, and most of all is safe. So because we don't have everything in place that we need to, we don't have the comprehensive plan committee up and going yet. We don't think it's appropriate to be considering these very important projects. Not yet, anyway. There are also other things that we have not considered, and our assessor needs to do research as well. And in consultation with our own people, we need to make sure that these decisions are right, they're thoughtful, and that they are protective of our residents, our community, because we want to move forward, but we want to do it in a very smart and planned way. And we want to make sure that you have a say in it as well. So it's better not to rush it. Make sure that we do all the research and we do it well. So for that reason, we will be at the next week, we will be talking about a solar moratorium. It will be a finite time period because we don't want to keep landowners who are hoping for solar farms waiting any longer than possible, but we want to make sure that we do this correctly. So we will have more answers by next week. Right now, that's all we can tell you, but that is what we're looking at for now. So, I'm just giving a heads up. These are still my announcements. That we'll be discussing more next week. And I also want to make an announcement, and it's just an announcement, not a discussion. There will be, and we've gone back and forth about dates, there will be a information and discussion session on the Bun Hill development project, and that will be scheduled hopefully for this coming Thursday, April 4th. And we're working on a larger venue, so we'll let you know what the thing is. It will be on the website. We'll tell you where as soon as we hopefully can get a larger venue. We're trying to include everybody. It will be facts and answers for the questions that people still have. The developers will have a representative there to present the facts of the development itself. Our assessor has made a statement both on the tax base of the project, what it will be taxed and what it will be assessed at. And we will be gathering the facts as well as the legal opinions involved, and we will be presenting the facts to you. We will also be accepting and encouraging public comments and or questions, but it will be an informational meeting. Okay, there will be no decisions made. There's nothing on the table to be done at this point, but we want to have that discussion with everybody because I think it's warranted. There are a lot of people with a lot of questions still about the facts of the original case, but most of all, where we stand now. So everybody has a right to it. Every resident has a right to it. So that's what we're going to take the time to do. Okay, so please look at the website for the date, for the place, but as of now, it is April 4th at 6 p.m. So, and one last thing, and thank you for your patience this evening. I know the hearing part of it was a little bit of procedure, but we have revamped our rules and procedures a number of times, and the goal must be to have these meetings informational for you, to have them a place where everybody can ask a question or make a comment, but that is respectful for everybody. But some boards believe that they should allow people to say, but they don't have to comment. We try to provide answers if we can, at least based on what we know. So we're making that effort, but it's really important that we do this in a respectful way for everybody. So as you can see, we have a clock now, and the clock is not meant to be offensive. It is simply, I don't know, personally for me, when I want to see something, I know I have a set period of time. I'm halfway through and I'm like, oh, I didn't see the rest of it. I got to say the rest of it within that time. It's to help you to pace yourself. Okay. But we do it. We do keep it limited because we can't really have speeches. This is not the venue for it, but we do want people to have a say in it. And we want as many people as possible to have a say on as much as possible or ask questions if they want to. We don't want to leave people out in these meetings. So we are going to ask for that. And the last thing I did want to point out is, people have the right to ask questions about town business, but these meetings are about town business. They're not about personalities. They're not about individuals. They're about what we're doing, the decisions we're making, about solar moratoriums, about a comprehensive plan. It's about a rule or a regulation or a personal circumstance of a person. It is not about the personalities of anybody, any elected official, any town employee, or anybody in the audience as well. So please, this is not personal. This is about town business. We ask you to respect that going forward, but we do want to hear you. At the same time, we want to tell you, we want to hear you. We love the people are showing up. We love the people are asking questions. We love the people are engaging. And we don't mind, answering a tough question or saying we don't know at the point and be able to get back to you. That's okay with us. But again, I've gotten emails and it's upsetting to me personally that they have said they've sat in the audience at a meeting of ours and said they walked out because they were so upset about what was going on, that people were disrespectful to one another. And it was including audience member to audience member. So that's all we ask of you. We will do our best to be here by you, but we just ask you to be respectful to everybody. So I'm sorry. I wish I didn't have to say things like that, but I want to make these good meetings for all of us. I want to make it productive and I want to get you the answers that you need and you want. So we'll move on and mhm.
Request that people be seated. Microphone, because when they try to listen online, they never hear what the public has to say. This might be needed to use the microphone. On the back. Just that they can't hear the questions you have and they want to know what the questions are.
Should I put the podium over?
Yeah, that's good. We'll move the podium over for.
We'll put it over so you don't have to walk around or anything or stand in front. It's a little awkward for some people. Sorry, we had a meeting right before here, so we're just realigning everything as of now. Thank you. So yeah, and when you speak. Thank you.
You go, Deb.
It's all good. A lot of them back there.
Thank you. Oh, I'm killing my microphone again. Can I switch with you?
Yeah.
My battery.
See it now. So we'll move it over.
Oh, or
I should put up there.
how about to the right? Yeah. Okay, and when you come up and speak, we just ask that you say your name. You don't have to give your address unless you want to, but just that you're a resident of Vestal or not. So obviously, if you're a resident of Vestal or you have business here, please tell us that so that we know that you have a vested interest in what we do. If you're from the outside, we just want to know why. That's all, but you're welcome to speak as well. So thank you. And thank you.
You can see it down here.
It's made for bigger venues. I'm sorry about the size of it. But okay, so Sue's going to go over the rules again. Thank you.
So I'll give you the specifics of the public comment protocols for Vessel Town Board meetings. We believe in public comment as an essential element of effective government. We encourage everybody to speak up, to share their opinions, to voice your concerns, to offer suggestions in a constructive atmosphere that will help us better serve the town and make better decisions. So there's 2 opportunities for residents to speak at a Vessel Town Board meeting. We ask that residents not interrupt the meeting to speak, because we do provide those two opportunities. Please reserve discussion to those two privilege of the floor at the beginning of the agenda, which would be now, will be agenda items only. At the end will be town topics. Comments regarding elected officials, town employees, and residents attending are not appropriate for a public meeting. Please call, email, or make an appointment to speak to a board member or the supervisor to discuss these issues privately. All speakers are asked to state their name and address for the record. Vessel residents will be invited to speak first. Each speaker will only be afforded one opportunity to speak. Speakers will be limited to 3 minutes. All comments, questions must be addressed to the board. Conversations, questions for others should be addressed outside of the meeting venue. But all conversation must take place with the actual board. So if you want to continue a conversation, outside is the best place to do that. And we look forward to hearing what you have to say tonight.
Thank you, Sue. So the first part then, the public, if you have questions or comments about anything on the agenda, this is the first section that we're going to do. So does anybody have a question or a comment about anything on the agenda this evening? Okay, yes? Mhm. Oh, sorry. We'll get it. We'll try to get a better system set up.
I'm Tom Mooney. I'm from Rockwell Road in Vessel. And this is just a quick question. It's probably my hearing was a problem, but I was wondering what the source of those 11 questions having to do with the environmental impacts. Where did that come from?
It's a state form that's required.
The state, did you say?
Yeah, state.
Okay, well, I guess the state's important, but some of the residents might have been too. Okay. It's just a comment. Okay.
Okay, no, thank you. Yeah, and just to please understand though, that the form is, it targets certain things that have an environmental impact, and there's supposed to be research in regards. And even though this is a already established building and something like that, for a larger development, the environmental impact and everything, those questions would be much more important and much more substantial, and not that they're inconsequential here. But obviously, if you're building a huge development, it is more impactful than just the change of a business in a location. But that is not the only thing we consider. We as a town board consider our residents and the impact on the community as well. And the business that is planning to come in has made concessions to concerns and issues that the residents have put forward, and they have adjusted their plans accordingly. And so we do appreciate that as well. So we brought them, we listened to people, we brought it up, we spoke to them, and they have made changes in their plans in regards. So thank you. I appreciate it. Okay, does anybody have anything, any other question or anything on the agenda? Okay, so then we'll go on. Thank you very much. And we'll move on to, we don't have any resolutions or motions. So we're moving on to Public Works. And Steve, do you have anything?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, Public Works Department's been doing great. They've been out doing a lot of spring, or I should say winter cleanup for the spring. And so they've been out and about. I'm sure you've seen. We've had our Parks Department and our Highway Department out cleaning. They're doing a great job. Obviously, you've seen a lot of the folks that are out there also doing some of the trimming for NYSEG. Those aren't our guys, but they're also doing a great job. I know also Highway and Parks also is looking to submit an application for grants for a couple of projects as well for our grant writers. So that's all I have to report.
Thank you. Okay, Finance. Sue, do you have anything? Oh, you do have stuff.
I
Sorry.
do, yes. 9.1.1, authorization to require department heads to itemize the department budgets in a way that is clear and readable, also including a 5-year capital plan.
Okay, thank you. So basically, this is so that every board member and every member of the public will be able to read what every line item is in the budget. department heads are fantastic, but it's really important for people to understand what the costs that they have to deal with are. And when we go to budget time, it is so helpful for us to be very clear and readable for us in our discussions as well. So this is just making it official. And of course, the 5-year capital plan is we're asking our department heads to make sure that they plan for big ticket items so that we can pace it out and adjust it and make sure that we can afford things and not have to scramble at the end of the year as has been done. So we want to plan better and make sure that we can plan to buy the things that we need to buy. So motion, can I have a motion?
So moved.
And seconded?
Seconded.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay,
Aye.
so it's carried. Thank you.
Okay, 9.1.2, authorization for the town supervisor to sign a lease agreement with the Vessel Central School District to lease space at Central Junior High School for the Senior Citizens Center from March 1st, 2024 to February 28, 2025. Base rent during the lease term shall be $915.89 per month.
Okay, thank you. And that's just the rent for the senior center. They absolutely do an amazing job there for our seniors in the community. And so the town supports them, but they do all the work. They do an amazing job. So can we have a motion?
So moved.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And it's carried.
9.1.3, authorization for the town board to approve payment in the amount of $1,254.50 to the law firm of Coughlin and Gerhart LLP for outside counsel fees for professional services rendered. Request for a bond resolution authorizing the purchase of Parks Department. I think it was too. I think if I can amend that, authorization for the town board to approve payment in the amount of $1,254.50 to the law firm of Coughlin and Gerhart LLP for outside counsel fees for professional services rendered.
Okay, thank you very much. So, motion
I'll make a motion.
and seconded,
Seconded.
and all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, and it's carried.
9.1.4, authorization for the town board to approve payment in the amount of $135 to the law firm of Hancock Estabrook LLP for outside counsel fees for legal services rendered.
Okay, very good. Can I have a motion to,
So moved.
and seconded,
Second.
and all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, and it's carried.
9.1.5, request from Daniel Renner, town attorney, for approval to sign an engagement contract with GAR Appraisal LLC to provide appraisal services for the property located at 500 Skyline Drive, Broome County Tax Map number 157.20-1-27, Vestal, New York.
Okay, thank you. And you see these motions just to explain. Dan is wonderful and does an incredible amount of work for us. But there are so many things going on in terms of legal stuff. He does have to field it out in certain cases. Now, that's for an appraisal service, sorry. But the appraisal service, that's it. Sometimes we have to hire appraisers in ongoing litigation to assess the properties to continue with the court case. And this is one of those cases.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you. And seconded?
Seconded.
Seconded.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And it's carried.
9.1.6, request from Daniel Reynolds, town attorney, for approval to sign an engagement contract with GAR Appraisal LLC to provide appraisal services for the property located at 604 Vestal Parkway, Broome County Tax Map number 173.21-1-3, Vestal, New York.
Thank you. Can I have a motion?
And but before you do, I just want to
Mhm.
mention, I think make sure I get this right, Dan. Both these locations, this one and the last one.
You need a motion and a second before you have discussion.
Right.
Okay,
Okay, can
making
I
a
have a motion
I'll make a motion.
and second it? Okay, and did you have a question?
No, not really. It was just a clarification for the
Okay,
documents.
clarification. Mhm.
that these two locations have cell phone towers, so it's something that requires assistance from another appraiser that has experience in that area. Is that right, Dan?
Well, we're under a court order to exchange appraisals on these cases. These two particular cases happen to be cell tower properties. So the appraiser that was hired has an expertise in appraising cell towers.
Very good.
Just
Okay.
maybe
Mhm.
there's clarification. We have the town assessor, which is not. Those are two.
Yes. Mhm, mhm. Thank you.
Okay, so we have a motion and we have a second. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And it's carried.
9.1.7, resolve that all proceeds from town vehicles sold at auction will go back to the department in which the vehicles were assigned. I'll make that motion.
Okay, and do we have a second?
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, and it's carried.
And that concludes finance.
Very good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And Glenn, do you have anything for personnel?
Nothing for personnel from me. Mr. Donnelly, do you have anything?
Thank you. Okay, so planning and zoning. Robert?
11.1.1 request from Art Robinson, Building and Code Inspector for town board approval of a timber harvesting permit applied for by William Hopkins of Hopkins Forestry LLC. This is for the property located at 722 Torrance Ave. Broome County Tax Map number 173.03-1-3. Also for property 715 Torrance Ave. Broome County Tax Map number 173.14-1-1-45. And 342 Echo Road, Broome County Tax Map number 173.14 -1-47. Memo and short environmental assessment form are included in the addendum.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Okay, and did you, I do have a question
Oh,
first.
sorry.
Did you get a clarification on the specifics for that?
There was the issue of going within the 300-foot boundary. I did not get specifics. Was not able to get them yet.
I can help.
Okay, thank you.
So I did talk to Art Robinson about that.
Mhm.
And he explained to me that foresting happens occasionally throughout the year. It's always been happening. This is just the first time this board has seen it. So we had these questions on what was going on. It's clearing of trees with approximately 12-inch diameters. It's not clear cutting. Anything dead gets removed. Anything that is diseased will get removed. And they're not specifically asking for any change to go within the 300-foot boundary of residential area. It's just that the areas they're logging is up close enough to residential areas, zoned residential, that they needed to let us know that. There may be an occasion where they do pull a tree or two out from within the 300-foot zone. But Art takes care of that. He watches that really closely and works with the forester to make sure that doesn't have an adverse impact on the residential areas.
Okay,
So therefore, the inside 300-foot perimeter has
They
been
generally
changed.
won't be doing that. If they do, they'll get with our person, Art Robinson, and work
Hmm.
that out.
okay, very good.
Mhm.
So it'll be monitored in the process. So do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Say- Oh, I'm sorry.
sorry.
Sorry, motion and second. I apologize.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye, and it's carried. And public safety too.
Okay, 12.1.1, authorization to advertise on April 19, 2024 for a public hearing to be held on May 8, 2024. The public hearing is pertaining to the creation of the Vessel Fire District under Town Law 170.
Okay, good. Motion
I'll make a motion.
and seconded.
Seconded.
Thank you. And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
Aye.
and it's carried.
12.1.2, request from Police Chief Stace Kittner for the town board approval to sell the following retired police vehicles, which all need substantial mechanical repairs and are being removed from service. The vehicles will all be sold via public auction in as-is condition. The vehicle information is as follows. I'm not going to read the vehicle identification numbers. We have three 2020 Dodge Durangos. One has 91,134 miles. One has 102,000 miles. One has 117,000 miles. And the price will be determined via Auctions International.
Okay, thank you.
I'll make a motion.
And seconded?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And it's carried. Thank you.
And also under public safety, I would like to notate the burn ban that's in effect in New York State, DEC annual open burn ban in effect from March 16, 2024 through May 14, 2024, which is no burning during that time frame. A lot of dry wood.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Okay, administration? Glenn, do you have anything?
Yes,
Oh, you do have-
13.1.1, authorization to allow Dragonfire Distillery to offer alcohol tastings during Front Street Day. The tastings will be approximately 1/8 of an ounce. Call for
Okay.
motion.
And seconded?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Can we discuss this first?
Sure, absolutely.
I am not in favor of alcohol tastings during Front Street Day. We have typically not allowed alcohol at town events, and I think it sets a bad precedence. It's a family event. So I think if you do for one, you have to do for all, and we just have not. It's a huge liability.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, then for a vote. So all in favor? Oh.
Yeah.
So Glenn, how do you vote?
Nay.
And Sue, how do you? vote?
Nay.
And Robert, how do you vote?
Nay.
And Steve, how do you
Nay.
vote? And I vote nay as well. Thank you.
All right, 13.1.2, authorization for Patrick Harnan, Recreation Planner, to hire summer camp directors, girls flag football, pickleball, theater, and advanced basketball, easy for me to say. All employee pay rates are budgeted items in the 2024 budget, and the background checks have been completed. The rates and start dates are identified in memo dated March 21st, which is included. So
Thank
call
you.
for motion.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And it's carried.
And 13.1.3, request from Michael Herman, Vestal Public Library Director, to use a portion of the town-owned parking lot located at 320 Vestal Parkway East on Saturday, May 4th, 2024, from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. for a drive-through community document shredding event. He is also requesting that the town provide cones to help direct traffic. Fire lanes at front and rear of the parking lot will be kept unobstructed for town vehicles. This was originally board approved for April 20th. He is requesting to change the date due to Little League Parade and opening day games scheduled for April 20th. So it's mostly something we've already approved, but he needs to reapprove for a date change.
Yeah, they were great. They're trying to accommodate the parade to make sure
Thank
that
you,
they have
library.
maximum amount of parking.
Mhm.
So we thank him.
So I'll make that motion.
With the farmer's market.
Oh, very good.
Call back.
Excellent. Thank you. Doesn't conflict with anything else too. So fantastic.
So I'll make
Thank
that
you.
motion.
Second.
Thank you. And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And it's carried. And once again, our thanks to the library for accommodating. And we do the receive and file? I'll do it.
I have the breakdown if you want the breakdown.
Okay, yes, please. Thank
Okay,
you.
so warrants 2024, 11, 11A, and 12. 11 is normal weekly warrants dated 3/15/24. 11A is invoices for 2023 materials and services paid in 2024, dated 3/15/24. And 12 is normal weekly warrant dated 3/22/24.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Thank you. And seconded?
Seconded.
And all in favor?
Aye.
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 And it's carried. Okay, we don't have any positions of protest. We don't have any old business, but we do have new business. So 16.11, approval to modify the town board committees as followed. Public Works, and the chair will be Stephen Donnelly. And the second will be Robert Green. Finance, Sue Messina will be the chair. And second will be Stephen Donnelly. Personnel, Stephen Donnelly will be the chair, and Glenn Miller will be the second. Planning and zoning, Glenn Miller will be the chair, and Robert Green will be the second. Public safety, Sue Messina will be the chair, and Robert Green will be the second. Administration, Robert Green will be the chair, and Glenn Miller will be the second. So just a motion to approve
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
and second it, and all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And it's carried. And just as an explanation, we are board members who have just gotten to know each other better. And our goal is to work as smoothly and cooperatively as possible. And so we made some adjustments based on our availability, scheduled, and everybody's strengths. So I think it's a very positive thing. Thank you. And 16.1.2, authorization for Vern Myers, town engineer, to obtain LED streetlights at a cost to the town of $22,000, $840. A rebate of approximately $14,700 is anticipated. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
And seconded?
Seconded.
And all in favor?
Aye.
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 And it's carried.
And can I just make a comment on that?
Yes.
It's important that we act on this now because the rebate will disappear next year. So we wanted to make sure we took advantage of that $14,700 rebate.
And
And-
to add to Sue's comment, the price of the LED lights go up also the end of this week. So if we do not purchase now, they're going to cost much more, given the quantity.
And Vern, our engineer, is absolutely amazing and is very cost conscious. And he researched everything, found the rebate in the first place, told us about the deadline and said, we don't do it now, it's gonna be much more expensive. And it definitely needs to be done because it's a cost saving in the long run for the town. So we do thank him. And he's absolutely great, professionally speaking. Okay, thank you very much. So we move on. So 16.1.3, authorization for the town board to pay WCP consultants $6,300 for grant writing services. The grants are as follows. Police plate readers grant, $600. One park project grant, $600. Vehicle wash station grant, $600, and smart growth comprehensive plan, $4,500. First of all, before we vote, I just want to thank all the board members for coming together last week for a special meeting so that we could pick a grant writer, so that we could apply for grants to try to get funding for the things that our department heads need and or would like. And our department had scrambled. So our board members scrambled to get the consultant and to work out a contract that is definitely gives us the opportunity to do it very quickly. But very importantly, our department had scrambled to get price estimates and to try to come up with projects that are appropriate and be absolutely wonderful. And so Chief Kittner was great and is putting in for license plate readers, which is a great crime fighting tool. And we're hoping to do that. That's for federal funding. So he's working with the grant writer, and Craig Hiller are both our highway superintendent and our parks director. We got a 2-for-1 with him. He's amazing, professionally speaking as well. I have to say that. They keep telling me that. He literally had engineers today, just to say how good our department heads are. He had engineers, a group of engineers here and brainstorming and coming up with trying to get a concrete price for these projects so that we could get these submittals made. And the deadline is the 5th of next week. So he scrambled, he got everything together, and we're going to be able to make the application. Again, these are not guaranteed funds, but somebody's going to get money. We can ask for it. And so he was able to come up with the basic cost estimate and the basic specs of a wash station to bring us into compliance with the regulations in regards to wash all of our town vehicles, including all of our huge highway trucks. So we want to make it in a way that's better for us, but also in compliance with what we need to do. So he was able to scramble for that, but he not only did that, but he also has great ideas, and he was able to do the same thing and scramble for a cost estimate, but a solid estimate for 2 new softball fields that he would love to build for our residents. So our department heads are stepping up. Our board is stepping up to work together to try to put in for the things that our residents want. So I just want to thank all of them for really getting this done so far. These funds are not guaranteed, but we can't get them if we don't ask for them. So we're beginning that process, and we're going to continue to do it going forward. So
So I'll make that motion.
thank you.
I'll
And
second.
seconded?
I've got a question.
Yes.
So this is the money we'll be paying to WCP consultants to write the grants, submit the grants, do all the legwork that entails.
Mhm.
Do we have any information from him as to what kind of money is possible to get from that effort?
Well, we get that more from the politicians. So the first 3 things, which is the plate readers, the park projects, which are the 2 fields, and the vehicle wash station, that is all federal earmarked funding. That application is relatively simple, but it entails him talking to and going to specifications, and doing 2 different applications to our 2 federal representatives, Gildebrand and Schumer, which is 2 separate applications for them to try to act on our behalf. So it's a lot of paperwork, a lot of legwork, and that entails all of that process. And I neglected to read, and I do apologize for it. The Smart Growth Comprehensive Plan is $4,500. That is the full grant. So that entails, the really long grant writing process. Again, everything included with talking to department heads, researching it, getting the much more elaborate specifications and descriptions and everything, and also delivering it to the representatives and appropriate parties as well. And the great thing about a grant consultant, and the reason we really needed one, is they know how to articulate it in a way that each person wants it to hear it, so that we may not know that, but they not only know where the funding is, but how do you put it forward to articulate what we want, that we know that we would either like or need, in a way that hopefully we have the best chance of getting it. And that's why we get an expert for it. So,
And so since he is an expert,
Mhm.
he has identified these as not only what we need, but ones that there may be money for, and it'll be enough of a grant if we get accepted, that it'll be much more than offsetting the cost of him doing this.
well, there's 2 different issues. There's 2 different things that you just raised. Number 1 is, there's no guarantees for anything. We could put the best application in the world and have the best reason, and there's no guarantees. We do have a really good shot, and we probably will get our full asking, or most of our asking, on our comprehensive plan. We do not have comprehensive plan at all. Almost all towns, if not all towns, do. And they talk about revamping their plans and updating their plans. We do not have one at all. We've already spoken to politicians to get their recommendations in regards. So we have a really good chance. He's going to follow that whole process through. His administrative cost for the consultant, beyond the initial huge grant process, is covered in his admin fees, is included in whatever award that we get. So there's no out-of-pocket cost for the town. And the second thing was very much about, if we get an award, and that's a valid question, and we discussed in the workshop, if our concern is a town because of our cost consciousness, and we don't want to be hit with an unexpected bill. If we're awarded a grant, what's the cost to the town? So we went over, and I talked to Donna Lepardo's representatives, who was absolutely amazing and spent time on the phone explaining everything to me. And she said, and she was wonderful. And then I talked to the grant consultant separately, and he said, absolutely, that's the way it's done. is that when we put in almost every grant or funding source, either in the application process or if we receive the grant, they ask you a question. The question is very simple. If we do not give you the full amount that you are asking for, will you be able to proceed with the project? In other words, can you take the money and can you do this with it? And she said the absolute and most common answer is yes, but we will be doing a scaled down project. So we will then, and in every conversation with every application, with every person who is putting in for some kind of funding, we have a scaled back possibility. So that way we do not leave the town vulnerable to a bill that we cannot pay. So yes, but you can still do, and Craig is wonderful at doing that. He goes, yes, we're going full board for the application, but if we get less than that, we have a plan for that as well. So we do have a plan in either scenario, but what is really important is not to leave us with a bill that we can't pay or would have to bond for. So, no, thank you. Okay, so yes, can we call for a vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye,
Aye.
thank you. Yeah, we did before discussion. Thank you. And thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Okay, and well, you did the burn ban, so I didn't have any other announcements and I did the stuff in the beginning. So, so then we'll move on to, yep, we're gonna move on to public comments, and these are, they can still be agenda items or anything that you've heard today, but it can be on another topic. Again, we do ask you to just say your name, and whether you're from Vestal, and to keep within the time frame. Does anybody have any questions or comments? Sir? Thank you.
Good evening, everybody on board. I'm
Thank you.
Lou Moreno, and we've lived in Vestal for 24 years. This is a question about the procedure for us speaking at the microphone. And I'd like one particular statement to be removed, and that is that each person can only speak once. Because when something gets complicated, probably the first person to bring it up would like to restate the statement and fix the logic and so on. So it would be better if somebody could speak more than once. Thank you.
Okay, well, we consider it's a work in progress, but I understand the idea. The main reason that we put it in was to prevent the back and forth that sometimes happens. But, you know, certainly we can make exceptions at some point, but we'll talk about it afterwards in terms of the rules. Thank you, sir. And does anybody else have a question or comment? Sir?
Andy Schuman, sorry. Andy Schuman, 233 Shute Mill Road, Vestal. I just have two questions on what you covered. On the bulbs on the LED,
Mhm.
which was obviously my business at one time.
Bulbs.
Light, the LED.
Mhm.
Yeah. What is the warranty of the LED bulbs and for replacement, if, you know, has that been, because I didn't hear that part. And I don't know if I should wait for a response from you.
Oh, I have no idea.
Okay.
But we can ask our town engineer because, but they're standard LED. And whenever he buys something, he looks into all of that and when it would, you know, how long they would last, how
Are
they're
they
replaced.
rated or are they just, yeah, okay,
I wish I could answer.
all right,
Yeah.
all right, okay.
Mhm.
And then on your grant
Mhm.
items, is there a longevity of how long these products work? Or let's say the police plate readers grant, for instance? There's something, let's say the vehicle wash, is there, again, how long do these products,
Okay,
or
well,
if they are products?
well, most products come with warranties. However, some of them are just not applicable. For example, the police plate readers, they do have warranties on all technical equipment. Honestly, before they stop functioning, most often they're outdated and have to be replaced and upgraded. That, but there are funding sources that come from the Department of Justice, both through the state and through the federal government, that Chief Kittner has been already putting in for those things for different equipment. So he is already doing the stuff that we as a town are starting to do. So when he needs new equipment or needs to update in terms of technology, which is their most common problem, not something malfunctioning per se, but the technology being outdated to the point where it cannot be used anymore. And so it's a continuous updating. So the LPRs, it really is less about technology than it is about a warranty on the product itself. And the other things, the vehicle wash station, they're actually building that. That's actually a physical thing, and very much to Craig's specifications. But it's actually literal, a mechanism and a building.
I have a
So-
question in the plate reader again. If there's many peel plates that you see in the New York State, will a plate that is totally peeled apart, especially the yellow ones, or the ones from the Patterson days, from Governor Patterson, a lot of them have been dissipated so badly you can't even read them anyway. If you wanted to identify a car that, I don't know, caused an accident, they drove away. You say, what's the plate number? I said, beats me.
Okay, I hear your question and we can put it forth to the police chief. I don't know what their enforcement policies are. I have seen them. I do understand what the problem is. And we can bring that up to him as well.
Okay.
Well,
All right.
thank you. I
Thank you.
appreciate it. Okay, does anybody else have any questions? Yes, sir.
Real quick, just a
Mhm.
question on the solar.
Mhm.
So being on the planning board, we're getting a lot of them coming through.
Yeah,
Do they know that there's a moratorium on there? Somebody let them know? I think we have 5 coming in.
yeah,
Did we let them know? Because we've already got
Mhm.
hitting with those. Also,
Mhm.
There's not a more.
there's not a moratorium.
Yeah.
We're discussing one.
we're discussing one. Mhm.
So I-
Moratorium would have to be passed by a local law. There's a procedure. We'll have to.
You're gonna-
it's
so you're
in
gonna pass it?
board.
So
Public hearing, resolution, local law, that's it.
So because we have a solar law on the books now, and we have these companies coming in, what's our legal status on that? If they decide to challenge us because of that, because we do have a law on the book, and how long can that moratorium be on before they say, hey, listen, you guys are just basically stonewalling us? And if for some reason we don't come up with something progressive by the time that moratorium is up, where are we there? Like, can they just come in at that point and challenge us because we have a law in the book that says, hey, you can have this and here's the guidelines? And even if, you vote or whatever, you can't vote to say, hey, we don't want this because we don't want this. Right? So where do we stand with that?
Mhm.
What's the length
could-
of that? That's all.
Let me
And I'll
just-
step
yeah,
back
no.
and let you answer.
No, I appreciate it. And then we want the legal perspective as well. But first of all, it's a concrete period of time where we just need to put the pieces in order. No, it's not going to, it is going to be a very concrete saying we are going to have it by here, but we need to get a plan in place. First of all, I think you're going towards, and please tell me if I'm wrong, do we have a liability for it? Well, I can tell you that other towns have done the exact same thing. Because when you make a solar law, you do it to the best of your ability, but normally you would have all these other things that we're talking about in terms of the assessments and the the assessment procedure specific to solar farms, but also tax law 487, which we have not considered at all. You have to consider those things beforehand. So we have a lot of reasons, concrete reasons for holding off for a bit. Nobody's saying that we're not going to have solar and it's going to be a set period of time, but we have to have all these things in a row so that everybody can make a concerted, good decision when we make those decisions about these solar farms. You said, did we reach out to them yet? We will be reaching out to them, but again, there is no moratorium in place at this time. We do want to give them a heads up and say, we are going to be considering this just out of respect and courtesy because they are residents too, these landowners, and we want to respect them. And they've been on hold for quite a while. We do not want to increase their frustration, but we cannot make mistakes because we do it improperly. And that's what the important thing is. We're not going to do it. It's just simply, we need to do it correctly. We need to do it wisely. We need to do it in an informed way to make sure that we do it properly. That's all. Solar is going to come. We're going to have solar farms. And we are going to make it as concrete for our landowners who are hoping to do it as quickly as possible. And we are going to try to do it as quickly as possible, but we're going to do it in the planned way. In terms of, I can tell you the town of Dickinson, they started their process. They had their solar law in place. They actually had a solar farm in the middle of being built. I do not advocate this. This is why we're having this discussion right now. They stopped a solar farm being built right in the middle of construction. And they did it legally because there were issues with it. Their solar law was not adequate. And so they had the legal basis to do it. So when you have the concrete reasons why you have to hold off for a bit, and you have a reasonable time frame in which you do it, and you are doing the things to try to get prepared to do it, and you can show that, then in my opinion, first of all, other towns have done it. They've had to do it because they were making mistakes and they didn't want to go any further with those mistakes. But from the legal perspective, I'll hand it over to Dan. Sorry.
Well, I mean, do you have any further questions, Bill? I mean,
Yeah,
is that an adequate response for you?
No, I totally get there's gonna be solar farms.
Mhm.
I get that. My
Yeah.
question is we actually have a law in the books. Do you feel like that law is not adequate? And if you're plan on putting a moratorium, then I'm assuming you guys feel like that law that was put into place is not enough. So my question is for our town attorney is, how long is a moratorium timeframe where we're not saying, hey, listen, we're just gonna stall this as long as we can, where they can challenge us versus, I mean, what's an acceptable time? 2 months, 6 months, 1 year?
I would say the case law is all over the board with wind farms and solar farms. I mean, the supervisor, did correctly point out that you can't just delay. In other words, if you've got, sorry. So you can hear me? Okay.
For the video too, because people can't understand if they can't hear it.
You're definitely not supposed to, put on a moratorium, an extension upon extension upon extension. For the purpose of delay, because you don't want solar array farms. Okay, that's not acceptable. What you can do is impose a moratorium if it's tailored and limited in scope and duration. To your question, I would think that you could put a moratorium in 9 to 12 months and then apply for an application for an extension. Thereafter, if you're still not ready, I mean, there's a couple of things that you'd have to point out, I think, to be on solid footing. A couple of them supervisor already pointed out. We are trying to put together a comprehensive plan committee. Okay, so that's going to be something that we are working on. We're also going to have to revisit this law that's on the books, as you point out. You were in the planning board meeting on the 19th. And you could see that there's some confusion in this law that was just put on the books. The planning board, I mean,
Right, that's why I'm asking.
yeah, I mean, it's not really well defined, in my opinion.
It's pretty open.
With all due respect. Vis-a-vis the role of the planning board and the town board, okay? In other words, you know, what is the authority of the planning board?
Right.
Are they supposed to conduct a seeker, or given that this is a special permit, it probably would go to the town board, although that's not what it really says right now. There's language in there about the planning board having a responsibility to accept the application. I'm not
Which
quite
means
sure what
what
that
exactly?
means. Nobody knew what that meant.
Right,
at the
yeah,
meeting.
that's what I was,
There's a couple of things that, and then there's things that we can reasonably work on, you know, with, we have to look at the assessment, we have to look at the tax implications. We have to look at, people had questions at the meeting about setbacks. Just a lot of particulars. I think this board has, I think they've got a right to revisit this solar law at this point. This is fresh. It's pretty hot off the presses, really. It's just last fall. Nobody's built a farm. We've got 3 applications right now. They are preliminary. I think as far as liability, that was another one of your questions. They've been notified with these 3 applicants with a letter. I think there's 2 others that are interested.
Yeah.
They also, I think, have been notified. Look, you know, this is just to advise you that we're considering a moratorium on this for a limited period of time, so that this board can take a look at, you know, the following 4 or 5 items that we really need to nail down on, okay? I think that's reasonable. Now, there is liability if you don't do that and these developers keep spending money and keep making plans, and because that's, you know, you're right. People right now, developers are relying upon the fact that we have a law on books. So I think the ones that have been interested, they've been notified. We're gonna, I think, this board is gonna act expeditiously in moving towards a moratorium. We're going to have to specify in that it's going to be a local law. We'll follow the procedure. We'll have a public hearing. We'll define exactly why we're doing it and the length of time that we think we need to address all of our concerns. After which time the moratorium will expire and it'll be presumably replaced with another local law amending our solar law.
And
Or
am I-
rescinding it and replacing it wholesale.
and I'm assuming after the law is made at the board, that this board will make the decision on that instead of the planning board? Because I know there was some confusion on that, on where the.
It's gonna be a town board. It's gonna be a town board decision, but
Okay.
yeah,
Can I just add that? Yeah, and we want to clarify that too. We don't want that to happen again either.
Yeah.
Because you guys did an amazing job trying to figure it out. But no, I really do appreciate it.
We just
and-
didn't know, like, no labor, everybody's like,
I
what's our
know.
role here?
And that's exactly our point.
Right.
Is nobody should be put in that position. And so this is the time period where we can get all that straightened out. So you will not be put in that position again, and we can define everybody's roles. And thank you again. I appreciate it. Does anybody else have any questions or comments? Yes. Mhm.
Hi, yes, I'm Robert Omine. I'm with ClearPath Energy. We're one of the solar developers. So I thought I'd just come up and I'd be available for comment if anybody wants to ask any questions. We have one of the applications in. I think we're supposed to be before the planning board at the next meeting. But yeah, I just wanted to say I was here and I wanted to thank the board for all the work that they're doing on the solar law. And also all the work that was done last year. I did want to make one specific comment that with regards to a moratorium, I would encourage the board, if they do proceed with that, to proceed thoughtfully, but also hopefully expeditiously. I did want to highlight that we had budgeted in our project a payment of $25,000 annually for tax payments to the town. So I did want to highlight that. Obviously, the longer it takes us to get up and running, longer it would take for us to start making payments to help the town. We don't use any services. There's no fire, police, anything like that. We don't have traffic. So that's all money to the town and not cost of services for that. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, does anybody else have any questions or comments? Okay, if that is, I want to thank everybody. I really appreciate all your comments and for coming tonight. I am very happy to see a lot of people coming to the meetings.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you. And seconded,
Seconded. No.
and all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
This is yours. Give it to Andrea, maybe?
Yes, thank you.
There's two parts to it. You want me to put it on her desk?
Yes, can you please?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'll print it off. Learning a lot.